Number 10. She was pressured into marriage. While Nicole was excited to be married at first, nowadays she realizes the particularly pressure-filled situation that she was actually in. At the tender age of 23, Nicole Kidman tied the knot with Tom Cruise, who was then 28. Per Entertainment Weekly, they celebrated their nuptials in a cozy little ceremony under the Colorado sun. By today's standards, 23 certainly seems a little bit young to settle down, but love is love, so just let them do what they're gonna do. Kidman has gone on record claiming that the situation was a whirlwind of emotions. She was thrust into the world of stardom and fame alongside her already established husband, Tom Cruise. She also mentions that throughout their first year together, Tom was a very different man. He was attentive and almost sweet, but things eventually grew sour, and after 11 years, Kidman woke up and realized what was going on. Number 9. The wedding ban. One of the kids that these two share, Connor Cruise, was set to be married a few years back and was really hoping that his mama Nikki would be in attendance. However, an insider spilled the juices of Connor Cruise's wedding and said that Top Gun Maverick star Tom Cruise banned Kidman from ever entering the event. As per the reports, the Endless Love actor didn't want Nicole Kidman to attend his son's wedding as she is considered to be suppressive by the Church of Science, let's say. And also, Cruise just doesn't want any association with her in general. Ever since their separation, it's almost as if Tom has just wiped Kidman from his memory. He ignores her at every possible moment. These two have not spoken in over 20 years despite sharing a troubled past and, children, which is famously great for development, just ignoring your kids. Kidman has never actually gone public on the specific reason that Tom avoids her like the plague, but sure, people avoid their exes all the time. But these guys have such a long history together. The idea that there seems to be some specific reason or something more behind the cold shoulder is a mystery only Nicole can solve. Number 8. He's a bad dad. Cruise has 3 children, Isabella and Connor, who were adopted during his marriage to Nicole, and Suri, who he fathered with Katie Holmes before their split. The first sign of Tom Cruise being a bad dad came in 2015 when he missed his eldest daughter's wedding, despite her being heavily involved in the church, going so far as to have a science-themed wedding. While Bella does keep contact with her father, the same cannot be said for Tom's other kids. According to a June 2016 report from In Touch, Cruise hasn't had contact with Suri in years. According to insiders, this is simply due to his wanting to distance himself from his ex, Katie, and by association, his daughter. But it's not just Katie's kids that Tom has trouble with. Nicole's kids, Isabella and Connor, were adopted into the family unit and raised as their own, but when Nicole split from Tom, the relationship with them became very difficult. Their father was with a new woman, and soon after, that woman had a child, and then they had a new sibling. So up until they were adults, Tom rarely spoke to his kids, leaving Nicole to be the single mom, which apparently she did a stellar job at, as her kids have had nothing but nice things to say about this woman. Number 7. She was wired by Tom. Now, while Nicole has never actually confirmed that this is in fact the truth, a documentary centering around his scientific beliefs released info on Science and Hollywood, claiming that Tom had wiretapped Nicole Kidman's phone. According to former members of the church, Kidman was a target due to her father being a psychologist, something that they didn't believe was a real profession, making him an enemy in their eyes. During his marriage to Nicole, he actually started distancing himself from the group and their activities, particularly when he was filming Eyes Wide Shut in England. In an effort to bring Cruise back into the fold, the church made the effort to undermine his relationship and, at Cruise's request, allegedly hired a private investigator to tap Kidman's phone. The church also worked to turn the couple's son and daughter against Kidman, convincing them that she was a suppressive person. That of course did not work. In fact, the opposite effect happened. Her kids got closer to her and she started to realize how frickin' insane Tom is. Now, Kidman has never actually confirmed if this is real or not, but if Tom Cruise wiretapped your phone, would you go around telling people about it? Yes, that is a great story. Number 6. Won't talk about Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut was the first collaboration between the couple, which was a dramatic thriller from 1999. Tom plays a Manhattan doctor who embarks on a bizarre night-long odyssey after his wife's admission of unfulfilled longing. The film itself received pretty solid reviews, but the actual shoot was anything but solid. So liquid then. Stanley Kubrick directed this flick, the man behind the live-action adaptation of The Shining by Stephen King. Kubrick had some pretty odd requests for his actors though during their time on set. Kidman has opened up over the years about her struggles. Kubrick made it so that Nicole and Tom cannot be with each other after after shooting, to help maintain the air of psychological and physical alienation. This move was made as a creative effort, but many speculate that Kidman actually may have spoken to Kubrick to request this stipulation. According to the writer of the shoot, Tom was not very nice to Nicole, but we'll get into that one in a minute. The most shocking of rules was that Kubrick wanted to film all of Nicole's love-making scenes in a 6-day span. Her partner in these scenes, of course, was not Tom Cruise. In fact, it was a man acting as her fantasy character in the flick. Kidman has mentioned that Tom was not only forbidden from attending those 6 days, but that he was absolutely fuming from the situation. I'm not sure why it would have been better for him to be there, but I don't know what goes on through Tom's head. Number 5. He's a control freak. Tom is no stranger to an on-set freakout or two, but he's also made a name for himself as a bit of a control freak. Both on set and in his personal relationships, Tom feels the need to be in charge of every little thing at any given moment. An insider told Radar Online that Tom was not good at keeping a relationship, as many women found him to be too intense. To him, any partner is an extension of himself and his brand. So he's not only intense, but he's a micromanager as well. So much so that at times Cruise has even been known to control what his partners are allowed to wear when they're in public. This made many love interests feel like members of his staff, and rightfully so. Kidman recounts Tom being a strict, almost warden-like figure in her life, controlling every little aspect of what she did and said. This created a very toxic relationship between these two, which was a big part of why they split up in 2001. Number 4. He attempts to get her on his side. Now, devoting one's life to a faith created by a science fiction writer is all well and good, but trying to talk your fellow celebrities into doing the same thing, that's pretty annoying. Especially when you're married to one. I'm sure someone out there is still trying to get signatures for their Church of Lovecraft petition. It's in the link below. Sign it, please. I want it. Nicole told the Daily Mail that Cruise had an unhealthy obsession with soccer superstar David Beckham and viewed him as the ideal candidate for conversion. Sadly for Tom, that never actually happened, but it wasn't for a lack of trying though. According to Nicole, in an attempt to lure David into the Science World headquarters, Cruise ordered Sea Org, which is the short form for Science Folk Organization members, to create a full-size soccer stadium. That's right, he built a stadium like the old nerdy guy in Benchwarmers, and guess what? Beckham did not come. He said he would come and check it out, but Dave and his wife ditched the event and chose to ghost protocol his butt. And of course this decision was made after he tried to get Nicole involved several times, but remember, she's a difficult person according to the church. Number 3. Bad husband. Tom's love life has been a part of the media circus for a very large portion of his career. His first marriage to actress Mimi Rogers only lasted 3 years before they split and Tom moved on to Nicole Kidman. Nicole and Tom got married in 1990 and they were actually together for quite some time, spending 11 years together before ultimately calling it quits in 2001. But of course his most memorable and public relationship was with Katie Holmes. Now thanks to Tom being an absolute menace, his divorces always seemed to go public, with him popping up in the media one way or another. Nicole did not appreciate having her name dragged through the mud and hated having to answer questions from journalists, claiming that Tom was actually enjoying the publicity while she was just suffering silently. Number 2. The director noticed no tension. The Oscar-winning screenwriter of the 1999 drama Eyes Wide Shut spoke to several news outlets and claimed that the leading man Tom Cruise was an egocentric control freak while casting extreme doubt on the passion between the actor and his then-wife Nicole Kidman. According to Frederick Raphael, who also functioned as a script supervisor on set, he claimed that the shoot was extremely difficult for the crew. Whatever Tom wanted needed to be done, as according to Tom, he was paying everyone, so if he says jump, you say how high. He also accused Tom of being particularly mean to Nicole Kidman off camera, claiming that he would often judge her performances silently to the side in between takes. That is just the tip of the accusation iceberg though. Nicole has actually been fairly shy when it comes to speaking about this project, but we already talked about that. It turns out it may be because the on-set drama was just too much for her to handle. Tom had apparently hired a team of personal assistants who were always at his side every second of every day. At his beck and call 24/7, the assistants always just looked exhausted and in need of a Red Bull. But his treatment of Kidman was very revealing. Tom was secretly an angry, controlling little man who couldn't even enjoy the fact that he was working with his wife. Or you know that his wife was Nicole Kidman. And at number 1, her jaw literally dropped. Nicole's description of her first meeting with Tom is something like a fairy tale. In 1989, Nicole Kidman was an up-and-coming 22-year-old who just scored her big break with the thriller Dead Calm. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise was a 27-year-old seasoned A-lister hot off of the success of Oliver Stone's anti-war film Born on the 4th of July. Cruise saw Kidman in her breakthrough role and was intent on meeting her. Per Vanity Fair, the Aussie actor was in the midst of a press junket in Tokyo when she got a call from the superstar's team. She thought, "Wow, this is America! Tom Cruise wants to meet me, whoa!" She subsequently auditioned for a role alongside Cruise in Days of Thunder. Per the Los Angeles Times, Kidman never thought that she would get married, largely due to the influence of her feminist mother. But when she set eyes on Cruise during her audition, she was smitten. Tom pulled up in a Porsche in true Tom Cruise fashion, and when he got out of the car, Nicole recounts her jaw just dropping down. But there was a problem. Cruise was still married to his first wife and fellow actor Mimi Rogers. The couple were divorced the following year and thus began a Hollywood romance for the ages. However, Nicole's not shy when it comes to her thoughts on that first split. Sure, she was the one who he chose, but Tom divorced a woman to be with her, and he was also seeing her while he was still married, which is not a great look for Tom. Nicole has been torn about her feelings on being the other woman, but she has gone on record claiming that the situation left her feeling anxious 24/7. It wasn't until after a full year that she was comfortable with Tom, but he was still being a jerky turkey, so that victory was very short-lived.
At number 10, we have jumping on Oprah's sofa. So when Tom Cruise was caught jumping on Oprah's sofa, it had to be one of the most arrogant incidents to ever happen in Hollywood. In 2005, in his interview with Oprah, the episode would become one of the most bizarre public displays of affection we have ever seen. Now, Tom would only appear on the show to promote his role in the film War of the Worlds. However, people would quickly forget about the film entirely, after he went on to declare his love for Katie Holmes. Tom would then be seen acting manically as he began to jump up and down on Oprah's furniture while screaming, "I'm in love, I'm in love. It's one of these things where you want to be cool, like yeah, I like her. That's how I feel." However, while the star wanted to look cool, he definitely didn't in this situation. And number 9, stunt gone wrong. So in the acting world, Tom is well known for performing his own stunts, and some of his stunts he's performed, not even a stunt devil would do the same thing. With the Mission Impossible franchise providing a wealth of opportunities for him to indulge in his inner daredevil, like the moment he clung to the outside of a plane when it took off, the film definitely took a toll on him because not only was he launched into the air tied to the outside of an airplane, however, he also had to scale the world's tallest building. However, in the 6th Mission Impossible series, Tom would actually end up performing a stunt after insisting he could do it, and he ended up breaking his ankle in the process. When the actor was meant to hit the side of the wall and pull himself up and over the edge, he made the mistake of hitting the wall with his foot, and he knew instantly his ankle was broken. If Tom didn't let his arrogance get the best of him, this whole situation could have been avoided if he just let the stunt devil do his job. Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And number 8, Scientology video. Tom Cruise is a member of the Church of Scientology, and this has been a well-known fact known by the public for years. Although his involvement with the church has been pretty controversial over the last couple of years, many of us are surprised when the church released a promotional video onto the internet back in 2008, and it featured Tom Cruise. The 9-minute video would show Tom discussing his beliefs while the theme of his Mission Impossible films played in the background. The video format appeared to be an interview with Cruise, and it was edited so viewers couldn't hear the questions being asked, and some of Cruise's responses even ended up abruptly. His strange, intense, and strong delivery as he discussed the benefits of Scientology left us all appropriately bewildered. It was just such an arrogant moment because it's never right to preach about any type of religion anywhere, and while the star can study and believe what he wants to believe, he definitely should have known better. And number 7, the Matt Lauer interview. Another one of Tom Cruise's most arrogant moments caught on camera when he clashed with Matt Lauer on the Today Show, and the whole interview got pretty heated. In June of 2020, Brook Shields would lash out at Cruise, who on Access Hollywood called her irresponsible for using medication to help her combat her battle with depression. Tom would sit down with Matt and he became pretty defensive. Matt then took a few moments to devote the interview to the film before diving into Tom's relationship with Katie, Scientology, and ultimately then brought up the Brook Shields dust-up. Cruise would then go on to call Matt a glib and would go on to a rant to defend Scientology and their anti-psychiatry stance. After the interview, Tom would also later admit that his conduct in the interview came across as arrogant because honestly, it pretty much did. And number 6, the water prank. Though Tom Cruise has been given a few outrageous interviews, he probably can be excused for being a little peeved with Channel 4 during a red carpet encounter that happened in 2005 after the interviewer decided to play a prank on the actor by spraying Tom in the face with a small jet of water. Tom would then be furious and go on to say, "That's incredibly rude. I'm here giving you an interview." Tom would then continue to go on and would call the interviewer a jerk. Later, a clip of the interview would then begin to circulate online, and fans were quick to call out Tom's arrogance. After it was reported, he got police involved over the harmless incident. Channel 4 would then come out to issue an apology to Tom over the stunt. Channel 4 would come out to say, "The stunt was intended to be lighthearted rather than malicious, and we would like to apologize to Mr. Cruise for any offense that was caused." Number 5, we have restricted oxygen. During an appearance on the Late Night Show with David Letterman in 1999, Tom Cruise would recall the moment where he restricted oxygen for a passenger when flying to Colorado. According to Tom, he and his co-pilot, as well as a passenger, were using oxygen masks because they were flying at high altitudes. However, Tom realized that he didn't have enough oxygen to stay alert at that altitude. Him and the pilot decided to turn off the oxygen masks for the passengers so they could continue on their journey. As he continued to tell the story, he would say that the passenger passed out due to a lack of oxygen, and he found the situation pretty hilarious. The whole situation was pretty much arrogant because Tom and his co-pilot had the opportunity to go down to a lower altitude to continue their journey. Instead of disregarding the passenger's safety, just decided to care about his own well-being, which just isn't okay. And number 4, Brook Shields feud. In 2005, Tom would criticize Brook Shields for using medication. The whole situation would cause a major rift between the two stars. Cruise would go on to tell Access Hollywood that Brook was irresponsible for saying in her memoir, Down Came the Rain, that she used medications to help cure her of her postpartum depression following the birth of her daughter Rowan in 2003. Brook then would respond to Tom by saying he should stick to saving the world from aliens. Tom would later be asked about his views in another interview on the Today Show, and he got into a pretty heated argument with the interviewer. Tom would go on to say that there's no such thing as chemical imbalance and insisted that vitamins and exercise were a better way to cure depression, before going on to call the host a glib. Brook would then go on to say that Cruise's comments were a disservice to mothers everywhere. Tom would then go over to Brook's house to later apologize, and they seemed to recover their friendship as Brook would attend his wedding in 2006. And number 3, 60-Minute Australia interview. In 2005, Tom was interviewed by 60-Minute Australia to talk about his Scientology beliefs and Hollywood stardom. During his interview with the journalist Peter Overton, he would be asked a series of questions about Nicole Kidman. Eventually, Tom would feel like the questions have gone too far, in which he prompted to say, "You're overstepping your line now, you're overstepping the line, and you know you are." When Peter was asking questions the public wanted to know, Tom would then respond by saying, "Take responsibility for what you want to know. Don't say what other people say. This is a conversation I'm having with you, right?" Tom then continued to say, "I'm just telling you right now, just put your manners back in." And number 2, rant on set. I think we all had enough with the situation we were all put in following 2019. However, Tom really came across arrogant following a dispute he had with film crew staff that chose not to follow the rules. When an audio recording started to circulate on the internet, Tom furiously berated the crew of the Mission Impossible 7 set for failing to follow the rules, and we would all be left feeling shook when the actor went on to say, "If I see you do it again, you're effing done. We are the gold standard. They're back in Hollywood making films right now because of us, because they believe in us and what we're doing. We're creating thousands of jobs. I don't want to ever see it again. Ever." Fans then would become pretty divided over the outburst, as Tom went about the issue in such an aggressive tone, and the use of language didn't sit well with any of us. While some agreed with his points, claiming that he was taking a stand for health and safety, there was definitely a better way of dealing with the situation. Number 1, hysterical antidot. Now, no one knows if this situation was less awkward or confrontational or simply just confusing. Tom made an appearance on David Letterman's Late Night Show in the mid-90s. it would show the actor laughing for several minutes straight. The whole situation would start when Tom was trying to relate to Antidot about his latest movie. Tom began to crack up near the beginning of the interview and couldn't seem to stop laughing for the whole duration. Luckily for him, everyone around him also said it was funny, including David Letterman, who would also soon join his peers in laughter. However, the unexplained fit of near hysteria endures one of Cruise's most arrogant moments.
Number 10. Mark Walberg. In 2013, a series of leaked court documents suggested that Tom Cruise had compared working on a film to being as intense as fighting in Afghanistan. It's safe to say that this statement did not go down well with Mark Walberg. Later down the line, while he was promoting his film Lone Survivor, which was based on actual events of the failed 2005 mission Operation Red Wings, where Mark played the role of a Navy SEAL. When asked about the difficulty of shooting the film, he went on an angry rant. Quote, "For actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the floor. I don't give an F what you did. You don't do what these guys did. For somebody to sit there and say, my job was as difficult as somebody in the military's, how effing dare you, while you sit in a makeup chair for 2 hours. He added that at the end of the day, actors get to go home, go to their hotel room and order effing chicken. Tom's lawyers then jumped in very quickly and claimed that the actor was only joking, and in fact is a staunch supporter of the troops, but the tension was very clearly real. Number 9. Thandie Newton. When speaking with Vulture, Newton revealed exactly why working with Tom Cruise on the 2000 film Mission Impossible was a total nightmare. When asked why she never filmed another movie in the franchise, the actress said, "Oh, I was never asked. I was so scared of Tom. He was a very dominant individual. He tries super hard to be a nice person." She described him as really stressed and dominant, recounting an incident on set in which she and Cruise attempted to finish a night scene on the balcony. Quote, "I don't think it was a very well written scene. I get angry with him, we're frustrated at each other, and Tom made a decision at the very beginning of the movie, unbeknownst certainly to me, that he didn't speak English, which I think was very helpful to him, but it was extremely unhelpful to the rest of us." Thandie went on to say that Tom got so frustrated with her performance that it just pushed her further into a place of terror and insecurity. But despite everything, Thandie insisted that she doesn't think poorly of Tom as a person. Quote, "He wasn't horrible, it was just that he was really stressed. But the pressure, he takes on a lot. I think he has this sense that only he can do everything as best as it can be done." Number 8. Brook Shields. Telling women what they can and can't wear is one way to make yourself extremely unpopular among the female demographic, but telling them how to give birth is a different kind of insult entirely. Just ask Brook Shields after she had to deal with public shaming from Tom Cruise, who went on the record criticizing her decision to use antidepressants to help her with postpartum depression. Quote, "When someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There is nothing that can cure them whatsoever." And if that wasn't condescending enough for you, he added, "I care about Brook Shields because I think she's an incredibly talented woman, but look at where her career has gone." But Brook was not having it and took the opportunity to stand up for herself and new mothers everywhere. She said, "Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them." Adding that, "I'm going to take a wild guess and say that Mr. Cruise has never suffered from postpartum depression." She called his comments a disservice to mothers everywhere and said that if any good can come of Mr. Cruise's ridiculous rants, let's hope that it gives much needed attention to a serious disease. Number 7. Brad Pitt. Although the two A-list actors have a lot in common, especially when it comes to their careers, they allegedly couldn't be more at odds with each other. In fact, rumors have it that they have been feuding for 25 years, and it all started with one movie, 1994's Interview with a Vampire. The hit horror film where both actors had starring roles really ignited their resentment for one another. And even though the film was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe upon its release, Brad said that he was miserable on set and that Tom being there certainly didn't help. And when asked about his co-star in an interview, Brad did not bother to hold back his feelings at all. Quote, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming when I started really resenting him. He's North Pole, I'm South. He's always coming at you with a handshake, whereas I may bump into you. There was this underlying competition that got in the way of any real conversation." Fast forward to 2009, when both actors were starring in World War II dramas, Brad in Inglourious Basterds and Tom in Valkyrie. Not only was Brad's film way better received, but to add insult to injury, he reportedly called Tom's film a ridiculous movie. Number 6. Nicole Kidman. Although it's been over for decades, Nicole Kidman's marriage to Tom Cruise is still one of Hollywood's most talked about relationships. But at the time of meeting, he was still married to Mimi Rogers. Tom eventually divorced his first wife in February of 1990, and less than 1 year later, he exchanged vows with Nicole. They even adopted 2 children, Isabella Jane and Connor Anthony, and eventually went on to make 2 more movies together as a couple. But as we all know, their marriage was far from perfect, and they ended up splitting up a decade later in 2001. Looking back on the divorce, Nicole said, quote, "I was so young when I got married. I look back now and I'm like, what?" She told Red Magazine that she felt isolated during her marriage, and even when she won an Oscar, she described it as, "I was holding a gold statue and I was the loneliest I'd ever been." The divorce took Nicole by surprise, and it got very messy very quickly with the custody battle. In the end, Tom allegedly turned her children against her, as he was granted full custody of their kids, and ended up raising both of them to be Scientologists. But despite all the heartbreak, nothing beats that iconic photo of Nicole leaving her attorney's office, jumping for joy after their divorce was finalized. Number 5. Alec Baldwin. Another celebrity who has had no trouble calling out Tom Cruise was fellow actor Alec Baldwin in 2009. The Dirty Rock star hosted Elle Magazine's Women in Hollywood dinner and award show, and what he said had even Tom's wife at the time, Katie Holmes, laughing along with everyone. The actor joked about coming up with a solution to the disproportionate salaries between men and women in Hollywood, and then seemingly came up with an idea to solve the pay gap. Quote, "I believe we can balance the scales if Tom Cruise would lower his quote by a mere $29 million. I realize this may be a little bit unfair since he's not here to defend himself, and I really don't want to put all of this on one man, but if I had to, that man would be Tom Cruise." He went on to assure the audience that his own salary was nothing compared to Tom's. In fact, his annual salary, as he said, is the budget from mints that were featured in one of his movies. But as the saying goes, there really is a grain of truth in every joke. According to Variety, the actor is expected to earn $100 million or more from his new movie Top Gun Maverick, which would be one of the biggest paydays for an actor for a single movie ever. Number 4. Leah Remini. A former longtime Scientologist, King of Queens star Leah Remini opened up about her experiences in the church in her 2015 memoir Troublemaker, much to the disdain of Tom Cruise. In her book, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that she and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion, when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities including Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. He announced to all the guests that he wanted to play hide and seek and pressured everyone to join in. Remini also explained another bizarre incident when Tom had a meltdown over cookies. Quote, "Once he wanted to make cookies, and there was a package of pre-packaged cookie dough on the counter. He asked, 'Guys, where's the cookie stuff?' Tom seemed like a child who had never been told no, and he screamed at his assistant." And when Top Gun Maverick came out, Remini cautioned fans about supporting him, saying, "Don't let the movie star charm fool you. And no, I will not watch the movie, nor will I ever support or approve of this scam of a man." So she is clearly not one to forgive or forget. Number 3. Katie Holmes. Back in 2012, the former Hollywood power couple Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes announced to the world that they were getting a divorce after 6 years of marriage. News of the A-list split sent shockwaves through the world of show business and sparked waves of rumors and speculation as to why the pair decided to call it quits. After a whirlwind romance, the couple got married in a luxurious Italian wedding ceremony and welcomed their first child together, Suri Cruz. So their divorce came as a shock to everyone. The major reason was allegedly Katie's aversion to raising their daughter in Scientology. Tom basically confirmed this during a 2013 deposition, admitting that this was one of the reasons that his ex-wife filed for divorce. He also revealed that his daughter, Suri, who was just 7 years old at the time, was no longer a practicing member of the Church of Scientology. This was a pretty surprising admission, considering that those who leave the religion are often cut off from other practicing members, which is probably why Katie won sole custody of Suri, which reportedly included ironclad rulings that she would not be exposed to anything Scientology related. And to this day, it appears as though the former couple aren't exactly on good terms, as Tom reportedly hasn't even seen his daughter in years. Number 2. Mickey Rourke. In a new interview with Piers Morgan Uncensored, the boxer turned actor was asked about Tom Cruise, and he made it quite clear that he wasn't a fan at all. It was mentioned that his new movie, Top Gun Maverick, made over $1 billion at the box office, and Rourke said, "That doesn't mean jack to me. This guy's been doing the same effing part for 35 years. I got no respect for that." Rourke went on to list some of the actors whose careers he does enjoy and admire, unlike Tom's. And when Morgan asked whether or not he thinks of Cruise as a good actor, Rourke just said, "I think he's irrelevant in my world." And back in 2005, when Tom criticized Brook Shields for taking antidepressants, Mickey spoke out against him then. Quote, "My therapist saved my effing life and my career. I don't care what Tom Cruise says about therapy. F him," picking on poor Brook Shields. People need medicine and they need therapists. Let the Scientologists go effing live on a planet of their own. He was referring to the fact that Scientologists strictly oppose psychiatry and therapy as it goes against their core beliefs. So he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't think very highly of the Hollywood star. And coming in at number 1, John Travolta. Both are active, high-ranking members of the Church of Scientology, but it has been since revealed that the two are not exactly friends. The truth came out when a former bodyguard from the church, Brendan Teague, revealed in 2018 that John Travolta was furious when Tom achieved the highest honor in the organization in 2008. He was awarded the Freedom Medal of Valor from the leader of the organization, David Miscavige. This award is only given to its most dedicated member. John was also said to be frustrated over the fact that Tom has become a major player in the church, and to this day is one of the best known members in the world. Brendan Teague claimed that this event left Travolta feeling extremely jealous. Eventually he grew so angry that he decided to express himself and wrote a scathing letter to Miscavige, which reportedly included the question, "What the hell was this medal all about?" The reason being is that the actor believed himself to be the most dedicated member of the church, and had allegedly introduced more members than any other celebrity. So when he was passed over for the award, John began to despise Tom. It didn't help that only 2 years earlier, John wasn't invited to Tom's wedding with Katie Holmes, so their relationship was already rocky to begin with.